What's up, guys? This is the chapter review slash discussion on Naruto from chapter 1 to the current chapter and future discussion as of July 9th, 2013, when it was first released. This is chapter 638, The Ten Tails Jinchuuriki. So we had a cliffhanger last chapter, and it was very clear that Obito has become the Jinchuuriki, and it has been confirmed. So this chapter review will be assuming you guys have already read the chapter, and so there will be very little chapter summary and more discussion and review and a little bit of rating. So, Hinata asks Sakura, whatever you call her, Sakura asks Hinata, that what's going on basically, and it's clear from the illustrations that the Jinchuuriki has been sucked up, and Obito has consumed all of it. Crazy stuff. The main thing that astounds me is something that's kind of good. It's the fact that Obito is not there anymore. When they say, Obito, please stop doing this, he replies, Obito ? In a very staggered tone, like Obito. So obviously he's completely lost consciousness. He's lost his memories. He might just be like, he's either like a complete monster with no form of rationality, or the Ten Tails has taken over him. Because there's no way Obito has full control and still retains all his memories. I mean, look at Naruto. He's been the Jinchuuriki since birth, and up till now, he's finally gotten full control, but only due to certain specific circumstances, plus luck, plus him just getting along with his tailed beast and establishing a friendly relationship. Not because of power or growth in ability. Those things in itself were not enough for him to obtain full control. What ended up happening was he had to be friendly with the beast, and that was the only way the beast would relinquish his full powers to Naruto. In any other case, and if the circumstances were not as dire, simply put, if Madara was not immediately trying to kill Naruto and steal his beast, Naruto would still not have the capabilities to fully control the beast. Even if he were on friendly terms with Kurama would not give full control to Naruto. The only reason Kurama relinquished his full powers to Naruto was because Madara and Obito were right there about to take Naruto's QB powers if Kurama had not. So that's saying that even Naruto, having had been the Jinchuuriki for years, still is not fully capable of getting the full powers of his Kyuubi on his own. He ended up having to beg Kurama, or technically just be friends with Kurama, and Kurama saying, okay, I'd rather have you than Madara. And if that had not even happened, if Madara hadn't even shown up, then Kurama probably still would not have given Naruto the full powers. So obviously, despite the fact that Obito is apparently gifted in his ninja skills, I doubt he can fully control the Ten Tails, which is much stronger than the Nine Tails. So what I'm thinking is the Ten Tails has somewhat taken over the actual Jinchuuriki, Obito, which is pretty crazy because most Bijus do not have that sort of power. and that is why Obito does not remember his name. But let's go play by play here, and I will reference the scenes, but I will not give huge summaries. So first off, we do see this huge thing where the Ten Tails is being sucked up. He's being sucked up, and those wooden bindings that bound his arms, his arms retract through them, and basically, long story short, out comes this new form of Obito, which apparently is not the final form of the Jinchuuriki. So this is like a premarital form or something like that. It's a pre-form. It's not the final form of the Jinchuuriki or the Biju. So I think what's happening is because Jinchuurikis usually don't have different forms, they're just humans. I'm thinking the Biju is still evolving. So when they mentioned that this was not the final form of the Ten Tails Biju, when after Obito had been revealed with the 10 spikes on his back, well technically 5 on his shoulders, and then 5 around his torso area. And if you saw the picture, it's ridiculous. He's got 9 like little swirly things, and then his 10th, and then at the top of his back he's got like this one big Rinnegan eye, counting as the 10th tail. So basically, this isn't his final form. Jinchuurikis actually are just humans, so obviously it's not talking about the humans changing forms. If you look at Naruto, he does gain some cat-like features, being the Jinchuuriki with his, the 3 lines on either side of his cheek. But this is pretty much saying that most likely the Ten Tails is still evolving. And so let's move on to the fact that Obito does not know what's going on. He still has it. He can still talk and he can still comprehend, but we do not know if this is Obito talking or the Ten Tails Biju talking. This is key here. Basically, in this panel, Sasuke says, "That's the Ten Tails." Jinchuuriki, you say. And then you see his face, Obito's face, and it's all scaly on one side. But that's not due to the Jinchuuriki, that is most likely due to the fact that half his body is like some sort of clay from the first Hokage cells. And he says one line in the entire thing, and that is Obito. He says it very slowly, and he says it as a question. And this pretty much tells us that this is not Obito anymore. Either Obito has lost his sanity and his memories, or the Ten Tails Biju has taken almost complete control of him. And we don't know what this is. Maybe, just maybe, the Ten Tails, the Sage of Six Paths has, possessed him, but I don't think so. That's just not true. He died, so that can't be the case. Another key thing to note that you might not have picked up is his eyes. So one is Rinnegan, one is Sharingan. It's a Sharingan we've seen before. And the question is, why is this the case? Is this just a mistake on the author's part, or did he intentionally put this in? Because the Ten Tails in itself, having Sharingan, that's saying something. Rinnegan, okay, we saw the Ten Tails with the Rinnegan, but Sharingan too, it's like saying, okay, the Ten Tails originally had Sharingan, and then it passed it down to the Uchiha tribe, not the other way around. And it's not like Madara infused his Sharingan into the Ten Tails Biju, which I potentially thought, there was a time when I thought maybe that was the case. Maybe that was why the Ten Tails Biju had the Rinnegan and such stuff. But now that Obito has this too, is it saying, is this actually part of the Ten Tails? Or has Obito himself, as a Uchiha member, evolved beyond that? But how is that possible unless, like, in order to obtain the Rinnegan, first you need to get to the eternal Mangekyou state, and to do that you need to transplant eyes from a relative or someone you deeply value who also has the Mangekyou Sharingan. So Obito he never did this. He got the Mangekyou, but he never transplanted his eyes. And this brings up many other plot holes, such as, why hasn't Obito's eyes deteriorated? He's lived just as long as Kakashi, and Sasuke's lived much shorter, yet his eyes got so bad that he could barely see. He was like blind pretty much. But at the same time, you could say that's because Sasuke used his eyes a lot more than Obito. But at the same time, Obito did use his eyes a lot as Tobi when he was back in Akatsuki. But you could potentially say that Obito never had to use his full Mangekyou. He could just use his standard Sharingan powers in Akatsuki because his powers were so great, he had no need to. And Sasuke, he had to continuously use them for big fights. So maybe. It's just kind of weird how he's never needed to transplant his eyes. Or maybe he has, and that part was skipped and not referenced in the manga. But the point is, either Obito has now evolved Rinnegan himself, or it came with the Biju. We don't know. Moving on. One thing is funny though. Apparently, it's not clear to everyone what's going on. Like, you need some sort of keen sense to figure it out. So either you have to have some keen eye inherited ability like the Sharingan, or something else, or you have to be very keen in your ninjutsu skills, because Sasuke was very surprised when Naruto mentioned how he knew what was going on. And Naruto then goes on to explain that he's friendly with the tailed beast, and that's why he realized what was going on immediately when all 10 of the beast's chakras were pouring into him. And so I'm not going to do too much summarizing on that, but another key thing to note, remember, this is not a summary video. He mentions that Obito was doing the seal from the start. From the very start, the seal he was doing, this seal right here, that was the one Obito was using from the very start. And he was doing it to become the Jinchuuriki from the start. That was his plan from the start. So he never truly trusted, or I wouldn't say trusted, but I guess he kept something secret from Madara this whole time. I think he's still in alliance with Madara to a certain point, but he knew, okay, here's the deal, Madara is going to become the Jinchuuriki, and in order to do that, he has to sacrifice myself. So basically how the technique works is you need to kill someone in order to make another person the Jinchuuriki. Obito was the designated person, and that was the plan. Obito was like, no, screw that, and I think what happens is he sacrifices himself, but he chooses himself as a Jinchuuriki. So they cancel each other out, and that's why he becomes a Jinchuuriki without dying. Can someone correct me if I'm wrong? Please post it in the discussion below. I would definitely like some clarification on that. But that's apparently what happened. He did the seals. He did the seal from the start, and the thing is, it was different from the seal that Nagato was using for the revival technique of the Sage of the Sixth Pass, but apparently it was the same one. And basically, I need some clarification on that too. And I think what happened is possibly after becoming the Jinchuuriki, he immediately used the revival technique of the Sage of the Six Paths, which Nagato used to revive everyone he killed, and by doing so, he healed himself of the wounds inflicted. And so, let's move on to the next part. So, the first Hokage, Hashirama, he does some crazy stuff. So he uses Myujinmon again, and then boom, 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 boom. There's like 50 of these like tower things, and they start very small and then just stack on top of each other and gradually get bigger for a very long time. And he's pretty much saying that this will stand firm and this is gonna hold even if he is a Jinchuuriki. Boom. It gets cracked immediately. It gets totally destroyed immediately. And so this is showing the Ten Tails power. Okay, so here's the big part though. This is just showing how crazy he is. So the 10 spikes on Obito right now, 5 around his shoulder, 5 around his torso. They shoot out like arms, like the typical arms you see on Biju. Like when Naruto uses his tails, they become arms. They shoot out, they completely destroy the barrier seal that all 4 Hokages had spent the time like covering. He destroys it immediately. Crazy. It just shows basically how strong this guy is. And it's very clear, like Hashirama admits it too, all the other Hokages admit it, this guy is stronger than all of them combined. They have no chance. Which is very funny because, I mean, most new Jinchuurikis have a very hard time controlling their own power. So either Obito's already completely gone, and this is simply the Biju inside him, or something else is going on. But the point is, the first 3 Hokages went on to Obito. Boom! The last panel of the chapter, Obito burst through both of them. He bursted through Hashirama and the second Hokage. So either those were clones or they are now completely out of the fight. He literally just killed them. Obito completely bursted through Hashirama and the second Hokage. He like literally ran through them before they could respond and tore them apart. And then you could see like the flakes, like the dead dust coming out of them, because these guys are not actually alive, they are revived. So they could potentially be eliminated forever from the fight that instantly. And that just shows the power of Obito right now, because if he can do that to the first and second Hokage, just instantly defeat them, then does anyone else even still have a chance? That's the big question here. And on top of that, the last important thing is Madara mentions he still has a trump card. He says that now Obito has become the same as the Sage of the Six Paths. End quote. That literally means that Madara believes Obito to be just as powerful as the Sage of the Six Paths, which leads me to think that if the Sage of the Six Paths is the very first person to found ninjutsu and ninjas, and for him to be that powerful, then that's saying that everyone else that came after him, all his predecessors, are super weak. They just gradually get weaker with every generation, to the point where everyone's at Naruto's level and they all pretty much suck balls compared to the very first founder, which is usually not how evolution and things in our world work. Most of the time people get better as generations pass. So I think that's a flawed mentality of the author of Naruto, but there you have it. The point is, Madara has a trump card. We don't know what this trump card is, but he has one. And who knows what's going to happen from then on out. With this trump card, if he still has a trump card, that means that he still thinks he's stronger than Obito, which is saying something. Which means Hashirama is most likely still alive, because Hashirama has constantly beaten Madara 1v1. So I don't think Hashirama could die so easily. I do not think it's that simple for him to die. And on the other note, when they tried to kill Madara and cancel the Ide Tensei thing that kept him alive, he like revoked it. He was pretty much saying how he was immortal now, and that he can control the Ide Tensei, and that you shouldn't mess with forbidden techniques that you don't fully understand. So Madara is technically immortal because he completely controls it. They tried to cancel it, but he revoked it, and he can control it now, so he's technically immortal. So if Madara has that kind of power, then Hashirama should too. And Hashirama has proven to have that kind of power, because back 10 chapters ago, it was mentioned that he does have that kind of power. When he was first summoned to give his testimonial to Sasuke, I totally forgot his name, the snake dude that summoned him. I can't believe I forgot his name. Orochimaru mentioned in his mind, he thought, okay, something's up. Hashirama has already broken through my Ide Tensei. He's no longer under my control. What is going on? Which means what? He has broken free, so if Orochimaru chooses to cancel it, he can still choose to stick around if he wants to. And that could potentially mean it is another route to immortality, which we've seen many times before in Naruto, specifically the guy who was literally immortal. Like if you sliced him up, he was still alive. If you cut off his arm, still alive. They had to pretty much bury him alive, and he's still alive, but he can't do anything because his body parts are all over the place, but he's still alive. So immortality is possible in Naruto, as we've seen before. So that's saying something, and that's pretty much saying that Hashirama is still probably alive after Obito's attack at the end of this chapter. Finally, regarding Obito and Hashirama, I believe it was shown once, like 30 chapters ago, where they got to the real Madara and they tried to cut him in half, or either that or the Ide Tensei was cancelled, and Madara started like splitting up into ashes, but then he came back. So right now we see Hashirama being torn apart and ashes being scattered. So I suspect Hashirama will have enough power to reassemble himself along with his brother, and that's what I'm hoping. I've read Naruto for 600 chapters now, and I know how the author works. He's not a cruel guy. He's not willing to kill major characters. So I am assuming he will not just remove these two very important characters from the fight just like that. He'll most likely keep them around. I mean, he wasn't even willing to kill Kakashi. So we will see what will happen. Hopefully Kakashi is now dead. Most likely not, because the author will do some sort of twist again and Kakashi will have survived. That's just how Naruto works. So that's it for this. Leave a comment if you like this. If you actually look at the last panel, I definitely believe that those might be wooden clones. I mean, if you look closely, those, like, the insides of the person look like the carvings of a tree. So I think those are Hashirama clones, wooden clones. Because if you look closely, the way his insides look, I mean the way his whole body looks after they've been scraped through, they look like wood. So I'm assuming those are just more wood clones. Hashirama is not that lame. But if he is, that's not saying he's weak. It's just saying how strong Obito has become. Anyhow, if you like this, please leave a comment and definitely share it on any forums you go to. Share it on Twitter, any social networking thing. Why? Because I only have 2 subscribers right now, and I'll probably only get like 5 to 10 views on this video. So if you really enjoyed this, which I believe you did because you watched this whole thing, this whole 30-minute video, please spread the word so I have more motivation to do this. Right now I only have 2 subscribers, and who knows if they'll still stay subscribed to me. They might unsubscribe. So if you don't want this series canceled, it just started, like I literally just started yesterday. If you really want this to keep going, you have to share it on anime sites, on stuff like that. Share this video on Twitter, on Facebook, anywhere you want. Just share it, because I need that sort of more people knowing about it. I don't need it, but it would be nice to have. So share it and like and subscribe so I know that people want to watch this. Anyhow, I'll see you guys later. Peace out. Later.